Hey, let's get to it. The Heaven Can Wait segment. I got to tell you, this is the fairy tale story of the year, man. You couldn't have written a novel better than this. A story of a football player who is just chastised for his religious beliefs at every turn, and it's still happening again. But this guy, once again, like we said over the past few weeks, was supposed to be a flop. He was an experiment. The Denver Broncos organization threw him in there so he could fall flat on his face, and then the Tim Tebow phenomenon could just go away so he could retire in shame as the greatest college quarterback in history, but nothing else, nothing other than that. And Tim Tebow does it again, magically, with his team down by 10 points with 2.5 minutes, once again struggling for almost 4 quarters. He generates the drive that gets him in the end zone with a touchdown pass to make it 10-7. Okay? The defense makes a stop. Tim Tebow gets it again with no timeouts from his own 30-yard line. Gets that team in field goal range to tie the game, and then in overtime puts his team in field goal range to win it once again. Shane, 7-1 as a starter. Say what you want, brother, but, man, it's hard not to believe that there is some divine inspiration at this point behind the shoulders of this kid. I mean, how about the interview that Charles Barkley, former NBA player Charles Barkley, did like 2 days before that last game, where he pleaded with the Chicago Bears publicly to put the Tim Tebow madness to an end. Please, go out and beat this guy for once. Go kick his ass, essentially what he said, because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Well, Sir Charles, let me tell you, Tebowmania is alive and well. This team is in first place right now, and you know, as of right now, they're in a playoff position. God forbid if he gets this team to the playoff and they actually win a game in the playoff. It is going to be the story of the year. Now, with the Packers being 13-0, that in itself is a story of the year. But the Tim Tebow, I don't know if you can say it's too far behind anymore at this point. And a 13-0 season, if they come up short and don't win that Super Bowl Packers, Tim Tebow, regardless of what he does in the playoffs, will be the number one story of the year in the NFL. That's how big this is. That's how encompassing this is now. And because there's also a cultural factor here. And that is, for those of us on the right, for those of us Christians, we're rooting for somebody because we finally have some kind of a role model. All the while the left keeps bashing them, whether it's the sports writers or liberal thinkers or rabbis that don't like them. It's a paranoia that is just, I can't understand it. And for a guy that talks about sort of, you know, we've overcome the intolerance of the days of Jerry Falwell, and yet his whole piece is about his intolerance with Tim Tebow. Okay? That's what's amazing to me. And so there you have it right there. There's the paranoia. Okay? I don't think there's a doubt out there that this paranoia exists about Tim Tebow. And then there's 2 segments in our site right now. One that's rooting for him, the other one that's rooting for him to lose and lose embarrassingly because of his out-and-out open Christian beliefs. But I gotta tell you, you know, before this whole Tebowmania started, you know, somebody like me, and I think I speak for a lot of people out there, Shane, I wasn't necessarily a Tim Tebow fan per se. I wasn't. I didn't think about the guy. I got my own team, who's pretty pathetic right now, the Rams. But that's besides the point. The point is, I didn't think about Tim Tebow. But then the guy does that pro-life commercial, and you hear the grumblings begin right after he does that commercial. And the season starts, and he's thrown in there, and you know, all of a sudden you get more and more grumblings about his Christian beliefs. And see, and that's the whole thing about it is that a lot of us are rooting for it precisely because of what this rabbi here is writing about, Rabbi Joshua Hammerman. The fact that Joshua Hammerman is worried about his Christianity. And what his Christianity may lead to is the exact paranoia why many of us are rooting for Tim Tebow. Joshua Hammerman is actually feeding the beast because of his intolerance for Christians. And finally, somebody out there that sets a good example on our side. Nobody complains. You know, when we have the athletes out there that are all tatted up and are smoking out, driving drunk, and you know, getting 5 girls pregnant with 5 illegitimate kids. Nobody has outrage when it comes to that. I mean, look at the average NBA ball player. How many illegitimate kids they have? Yet there's no social outrage. Be it Tim Tebow, who praises his God. Somehow he's the enemy of the state all of a sudden, that he's a threat to all of humanity? No, Mr. Rabbi Joshua. You're the exact reason why many of us are pulling for the kid. We had nothing invested in until people like you use your intolerance and your bigotry against him to slam him. So I hope this kid goes all the way, buddy. I hope he wins the Super Bowl. This guy is a silver lining in a pathetic season for my Rams, I got to tell you, and I love every minute of it.
Political vindication. To vindicate the convictions that ensure liberty, respect life, and honor tradition. But not all convictions are equal. We've seen a nation that revolted for its freedom forget that we are born free and choose to abandon that dignity. We've learned that progressivism isn't progress, and liberalism has nothing to do with liberty. So we must fight to regain what we've lost, to live by the convictions that reject paternalism, embrace capitalism, and define man as more than a Pavlovian beast. Political Vindication Radio. Every Tuesday from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, where conservatives Frank and Shane talk politics and interview best-selling authors and activists. It's 2 hours of some of today's brightest minds discussing culture, history, and politics. This nation cannot remain great if its people aren't. That's why we're here every Tuesday. We've got to bring more than hope and regret into the future. Political Vindication Radio. It's where patriots meet.